Okay, we're recording now. Okay. Aloha! Good evening. Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Naimbag asardam. Maayong gabi sa inyong lahat. Haoli makahikiho. Happy New Year. Manigong bagong taon sa inyong lahat. Tonight is our first ever Healthy Mondays broadcast for the new year 2022. And for Chinese zodiac, it's the year of the tiger. Roar! So, congratulations to us for surviving another year of COVID-19 global pandemic. Here in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Ninth Island, and also our listeners from California, from New York, New Jersey, even Hawaii, and even my friends in Uganda, Africa are listening to us. Also in Italy, Germany, all over the world. So we are now entering our third year with the pandemic. So let's reflect on what has happened so far and what is currently happening. We are living with COVID-19 for almost 2 years now. And according to the Coronavirus Resource Center in 2021, the advent of an earlier unknown highly respiratory pathogen in January 2020 initiated a global pandemic that is persisting today. The SARS-CoV-2 coronavirus, the causative agent of COVID-19, has surpassed 211 million infections globally within 20 months of the pandemic. Until August 2021, more than 4 million deaths were reported. So tonight we're going to talk about New Year's resolution. I just wanted to give you an overview of what's happening with the COVID-19. I know Omicron variant is surging now, so please be careful, stay safe, and be healthy. Wear your mask. If it's a lot of people, double mask. So our topic tonight has to do with New Year's resolution, since it is still New Year's Day, or New Year's celebration will usually extend up to the end of January. So aren't you curious how the New Year's resolution tradition started? So I researched it. So the origin of making New Year's resolution rests in the Babylonians. Did you know that? The Babylonians who reportedly made promises to the gods in hopes they earned good favor in the coming year. And they often resolved to trying to get out of debt, like everybody, even to the present time. So the new year is a great time to look at changes that we would like to make in our lives and how to accomplish them. A resolution is like a promise to us so we can improve our lives and to make the new year a better one for ourselves and others. Wanting to make resolutions is a good thing. According to statistics, only about 8% of people do actually keep their resolutions for the year, and most of them have a plan. So that's the key. Those that do make a New Year's resolution are 10 times more likely to achieve their goals when they vocalize their plans and ideas. And those who do not vocalize the goal as a New Year's resolution often fail. So what are the top 10 most common New Year's resolution? So every year, millions of people make New Year's resolutions hoping to spark positive change. The recurring themes each year include a more active approach to health and fitness, improved finances, and learning new things for personal and professional development. Chances are more than a couple of the top of the 10 most common resolutions that I will mention will look familiar to you. Number one is exercise more. Number two is lose weight. Three is get organized. Four is learn a new skill or hobby. Five is live life to the fullest. Six is save more money or spend less money. And seven is quit smoking. Eight is spend more time with families and friends. Nine is travel more. Let's see how this is going to pan out in 2022 with the COVID-19 global pandemic. And 10, guess what? Read more. So according to the research that I did, despite the best intentions, once the glow of a fresh new year wears off, many people struggle to make good on their plans. And according to a study published by the Journal of Clinical Psychology, only 46% of people who made New Year's resolutions were successful. That means over half the people who set a goal for the new year will fail. So the study also involved non-resolvers, meaning those are people who did not make a New Year's resolution, but they had a goal they wanted to achieve that year. And only 4% of the non-resolvers were successful at achieving their goals, a far bleaker result than those who did make a New Year's resolution. I think the key is your commitment. So naturally, we don't want to be in the camp of folks that fail to achieve their aspirations and dreams for 2022. So there is a exhaustive plan that this research I looked at has for following on your resolution. So tonight, our first 2022 episode, let me think. I think it's about 138 episode for tonight. I will have to confirm that with PHLV Radio. So here we go. Our guest tonight is my newfound friend and neighbor at Cadence Community in Henderson, Nevada. He has a very impressive story. One, he was born in Würzburg, Germany, and has many places around the world where he learned his many talents. He graduated from Shaw High School in a New Orleans, Louisiana suburb, and I think I'm going to age him here. In 1971 to 1978, he was the original bass guitar player for the three-time Grammy Award winner Sounds of Blackness. Wow, I didn't know this, Gene. Academically, he has a BA in political science and speech from Macalester College in St. Paul, Minnesota, a BS in accounting and MBA from the University of Phoenix. He also has an MA in community education administration from St. Thomas University. And he is a veteran from starting from second lieutenant in the US Air Force and retired from aerospace as a systems engineer. Lastly, I didn't know he was in politics. He was elected to the city council in California City, California, and vice mayor and mayor pro term in 2018. Wow, Gene, I'm impressed. I'm so proud to be your neighbor. Welcome to Healthy Mondays with Apina of Nevada. Please say hello to our listeners out there.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet all of you. And your host is an impressive woman as well. And so we share a location that we both lived, and that's in Hawaii. And that's where I learned how to play my first instrument, the ukulele. So hello, everyone.
Yes, and also we wanted to share, Gene and I are founding members of our New Heritage Ukulele and Hula Club, right? It's a 55 plus community. So we've been practicing. We even performed in our Christmas party, a celebration here in our community. So would you like to share more information about you, something that you wanted to share with them?
I tell everybody, those of you who believe in something, who have faith, when I was 10 months old and we were living in Germany, we had maids in those days because it was easy to hire one. So we had one, and she was cleaning and left out the furniture polish, and I drank it. And they thought I was going to die. I had double pneumonia, and the doctor told my parents to make funeral preparations because I wouldn't make it through the night. But enough people from the base prayed for me, and I believe in the power of prayer. So they prayed for me, and I made it. Not only did I make it, but I'm around now, some 68 years later. So prayer does work, and you're listening to a miracle baby right here.
Wow, amen, amen, amen. God is not done with you yet. He has a lot of great plans. You know, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So very fitting. Thank you, Jean, for sharing that story. Miracle baby, miracle boy. I'm going to start calling you miracle boy. So back to our topic tonight, the New Year's resolution. I chose Gene to be our guest tonight because he has a lot of wisdom. You know, there's just like the story that he shared about him being a miracle miracle baby, I think that it's so fitting that we start thinking about how to make ourselves better. That's what God wants us to do, to be better and better and not be stagnant, right? So the statistics that I mentioned earlier that I read is that you're going to be more successful with your New Year's resolution if you set the goal and you vocalize that this is what you wanted to do and this is your New Year's resolution. And I mentioned about the key is the commitment. You're committed to do the change. I was reading about the difference between change and transformation. Change is just like a very shallow change, but if you think about transformation, you're really making the change at the same time you're transforming into another better person. So I wanted to ask Jean to share with us about your experience in the military. I know you were mentioning about military and how your experience in the change that transform you into the successful and amazing neighbor that you are.
Well, I think that the military did change me and did do a bunch of things to me, but I think the more thing that changed me more would probably be my grandmother, who taught school for, she graduated from college in 1919. And her husband was also a college graduate. He graduated in 1916. And at that time, you didn't have many Black families who had college educations, but my grandfather had, of the 13 kids in his family, all 12 of them had at least a bachelor's, and some of them had masters and PhDs and MDs. So my grandmother was married to somebody like that. Both of them were college graduates. And my grandmother instilled in my mother and instilled in us, if you get a 97 on a test, like, what's wrong? Do you need help? That one question or two questions that you missed, do you need to study more in that area? 97, you didn't settle at 97, you settled at 100. And you always strive to be the best. So I had that from my grandmother, who gave that to my mother, and my mother and father with us. 97 is not the best, 100 is the best. When I was in ROTC field training, I went and I didn't have a scholarship when I first got into it because it was paying for my master's degree. I got a scholarship to pay for my master's degree because St. Thomas is an expensive school. So the way I could get a scholarship is like win the academic award that would help towards me getting a scholarship. So when I went to field training, first we had 4 tests and I missed 2 questions on the first test. So again, which had been built into me, why did you miss 2 questions? You shouldn't have missed any. And there was a guy who missed 1. So I knew he was going to probably be get the academic award. Second test, I missed 1, he missed 1. So he's missed 2 now, I've missed 3. The third test, I missed 0, he missed 1. So then we were tied. And in the last test, he missed 1 and I missed 0. So I actually got the award. But I've been really competitive in just about everything I do. I'm always competitive. I don't want to be number 2, I want to be number 1. So going into the military, going through the different schools that I went through, always want to be number 1. Don't want to miss any questions. And so that academic competitiveness has stayed with me. My daughter, when I was she's a Yale University graduate. And so when I was getting my MBA, she was saying, Dad, why are you working so hard on this paper? I said, Bethany, I want an A on the paper. Well, it's good. You don't need to do that. I said, no, it's good for you, but not good for me. And I think I graduated with a 3.93, which I shouldn't have graduated with that. I should have had a 4.0. So I blame myself for not getting a 4.0. But she was saying, wow, why do you try so hard? So obviously I haven't instilled that in her. I've failed in doing that to her and my son, but just I didn't get that from the military. The military reinforced it, but I got that, I think, from my family on trying to be number one in everything you do, trying to be the best at whatever you try and do. My father used to always tell us when we were young, when you work, you work. So, and when you play, you play. So in other words, when you're doing work or when you're studying, be the best that you can when you do that. And then when you play, be the best that you can when you play, have a good time. Don't sit there and not have a good time because you've worked hard. And so enjoy the fruits of what you've done.
It truly, home is where the learning start. And I think the behavior that we set for ourselves and the attitude and our etiquette in at work in academia, right? Home is where it starts. It really, I'm congratulations in winning that academic award. But it strikes me when you're mentioning about 97 is not good enough, and you're always aiming for the best. And I always tell my nursing students the difference between success and excellence. There's actually, I think I shared with you that poem by Christopher Parkening, who is a guitar, who plays the guitar, is a professional guitar player, and he mentioned about the difference between success and excellence. Where success is you are comparing yourself to other people around you, the society, and excellence is comparing yourself to yourself and aiming for that excellence that we mentioned that really God wants it to be better and better, right?
That's
So
great.
yes, so I wanted to go down the line, and in between you can share your experience also. For our listeners out there, if you want to realize your New Year's resolution this year, there are 10 steps in the literature. I think part of this is from the Journal of Psychology. And the first step that you wanted to do is mentally prepare for the change. And it's talks about here that changing ingrained habits, it is not an easy task. So before diving headfirst into your new year goals, it is important to take a step back and get ready for that impending change. So you prepare for it. And I think your preparation for getting that award is you're looking at, if you missed the 3 points, what it is that you missed and you prepared for it, right? And so the first breakthrough in change is taking a personal inventory. And that's exactly what you did. Being that it's the end of one year and the beginning of the next, it is perfect timing to take inventory in the past year's accomplishment. And there's 3 questions that this journal said. Number 1 is, what did I set out to do in the past year? So you're doing a reflection, what you set out last year. And then second is, where did I make progress? And the third is, where didn't I see progress? So naturally, the resolution would be to focus on areas that lack progress, but don't forget to savor the progress made, and find some small way to celebrate. And those happy feelings are useful if possible. And I think the one that they said is, start thinking about the changes you want to implement and make sure to do the following. Stay positive. I'm sure when you were studying, when you were getting ready for the next competition of that award that you got, that you have to stay positive. And try not to make big or quick changes. So gradually you had, like you said, that 3 points and then 2 points and then 1 point, and then finally you got 100%. So change should be gradual. And then building on the smaller changes, and then allowing, you mentioned about allowing a little room for error, and finding out what it is that you made error so you don't make the same mistakes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so the second one is setting a goal that motivates you. So what motivated you to do better and better in that competition that you mentioned?
Well, again, I've been raised and kind of formatted to strive for perfection. So just like my New Year's goals this year. Can I elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. Go
Okay.
ahead.
My wife and I previously got into one of these weight loss things just for a month to see how it is. And so now we know the right amount of portions that you're supposed to eat. And in that 1 month, I lost 8.8 pounds. So
Wow.
basically, I lost 4 kilos. So now this year, I've made some resolutions, and again, you have to make obtainable resolutions. So one of the resolutions is to lose 5 kilos. So I want to lose 5 kilos, which some people say, oh, you don't need to do that, but I do. I need to lose 5 kilos. My daughter thinks I'm slightly pregnant. So I have a dad belly, a little dad belly. So I want to lose 5 kilos. And, at 191 centimeters, that's not a lot of weight to lose. So I can do that, and I will do that in a year. Another goal of mine is to reconnect with a lot of my friends. When I send out Christmas cards or so, I try and personalize them. And people I don't get cards to, I try and text them or call them. But my goal this year is to reconnect and stay connected with friends more. Because a lot of times, especially during COVID, we've gotten where we've hunkered down and we aren't contacting our friends. And all of us need our friends to be support for us emotionally and for our thinking, to reminisce and think back, oh yeah, this happened and I remember that and that was fun. So we need to do that. So that's one of my goals. And you hit actually all of them when you were talking about those 10 most common ones. And then a third one that I have is to take some formal course this year because I like school and I want to take a formal course. So it might be Mandarin Chinese, which I might take with my wife, or it might be to get my Spanish better and take another Spanish class or something. But I intend to take some type of formal education this year. And the fourth thing that I want to do is we travel a lot, and we've traveled a lot in our life, but a lot of times you can make short trips. So we took our daughter to the airport this morning and we went to Chinatown after that. And while we're in Chinatown, we said, oh, we've never eaten there. We've never eaten there. We've never eaten there. So I'm not going to hit every restaurant on Spring Mountain Road, but we're going to try during the coming year to hit at least one a week, a new one a week. And so that's an obtainable goal. So, those are my resolutions for
Yeah. I think
2020.
thank you for sharing your New Year's resolution and also about your family. And I was just reading here about setting goals that motivates you. And it talks about having the goals, sharing it with others around you who would uh, root for you to get it accomplished, right? So, and also it talks about how if you are going to set it, you would want it to align your resolution with your goals. You would want to align it with your priorities. And, like you said, family and friends, and you would align it with your dreams. And I think you were mentioning that you wanted to start another class and then your aspirations also. You mentioned about having it manageable, and apparently the fourth one for helping you to achieve your New Year's resolution is being specific. It's kind of like when I teaching my nursing students when they set up goals for patient care, that it needs to be specific. We have this acronym SMART. So when it comes to setting resolutions, it's easy to set bad goals that could lead to poor follow through because it's not measurable. How can you evaluate it if you have achieved the goal? So fortunately, this SMART goal setting framework can help you craft better goals to our listeners out there. So SMART goals are specific. You have to articulate the resolution as clearly as possible. For example, quitting smoking is better than being healthy. While being healthy is great, the wording can be interpreted in many ways. The M stands for measurable. quantify your resolution if possible. For example, I will lose 10% of my body weight. And you mentioned about losing 5 kilos, right? Earlier. The A stands for attainable. You mentioned about you wanted to choose a goal within the realm of possibility, but yet challenging. And maybe making, for example, like making 100 friends this year would be amazing, but probably it's pretty hard to do, especially during the pandemic. On the other hand, making 10 new friends is doable. The R is stands for relevant, keeping it relevant to your priorities and goals. So just the motivation that I read earlier. And then T is time sensitive. So give yourself a time frame, like in which to achieve a goal. Maybe in 3 months, maybe if you wanted to lose the 5 kilos, then you divide it. Okay, I'm going to lose this much this month or every quarter. Putting a deadline will instill some urgency and provide a time when you can celebrate your success. Writing down the goals. Did you write down your goals? I think me, if I write it down, I have like a notebook or a diary, right?
Well, I have a scale, so I know on the 5 kilos, and I'm very aware of that. And like I said, whenever my daughter visits me, she's a live reminder of Dad, how much do you weigh? And look at your tummy, So I have her as a reminder, and she normally visits about every 2 months because she lives not far away. And so, but the other ones, like I said, I'm going to pester my wife on taking the Mandarin class with me. We've already talked about it because she speaks Cantonese and she understands some Mandarin, but if we take that together, it'll be good. And the other ones, like I said, I really am trying to, and there's one other thing, you talked about the 10 goals, but I'm going to try and read more. Now I read a lot, but I read technical stuff. One smart friend of mine told me that if you read a book a month, it's good. Smarter people read 2 books a month. And if you're really smart, you're reading 3 books a month. And the very top people read a book a week. And this gentleman, who's a friend of mine, he reads a book a week. And he says it doesn't have to be, it can be in just about any field, but he says you have to read. And what reading does is it makes sure that your English is good. It makes sure that your vocabulary is good. It does so many things. And just like if I read music, I can read music. So if I read music, I'll go and I'll say, wow, I never thought of playing that way, or wow, he's playing a C major and he went from the C to the G to the E to the G and back to the C. I never thought of doing that, so those are things that reading makes you do, makes you knowledgeable of other things. And it also keeps you not academic, but it does, because it increases the knowledge that you have in different fields if you read all kinds of books. So
helps with the memory too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
Sharpen
it
your
doesn't have to
mind.
be, and I'm into reading ebooks now. I know there are people who want a book in their hand, but I am into reading ebooks. So
it's the future. It's now going to be the future. Thank you for sharing that. Here it says, share your resolutions with others. And there is like a quote here. It says, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? So it's great to make a resolution for yourself and maybe even write it down, like I was mentioning earlier. But if no one else knows about it, it's easy to forget or about it or even ignore, because no one is reminding you, just like your daughter. And when you don't achieve it, no one will notice, or no one will even care, because they don't know that that's your goal for yourself. But on the flip side, your counterparts who decided to tell someone about their goal feel something different. Now that they've gone public with their goal, they feel a sense of obligation and accountability and that commitment. And it's essentially, if you don't follow through, they are going to let everyone down. So crazy as it sounds, this sense of guilt is often more powerful than self-motivation. The upshot here is that when you do succeed, the people you shared with will celebrate with you. So if you want to take a goal sharing to the next level, you could organize a mastermind group. So I can tell already your mastermind group is your daughter and your wife, right?
Oh, yes, but I've said it to you now, and so you're gonna say,
Yeah.
Gene, you're not losing that 5 kilos, so looks like you're gaining.
Yeah, you're falling off the wagon. You know, a
Yeah,
master, and then it says here, a mastermind group is a collection of highly motivated people who share a common goal and are looking to encourage and help each other improve. And then it also says here how to do it is one, find some kindred spirits with similar goals. And then two, meet regularly, like weekly or monthly, depending on the level of commitment. And three, share setbacks and progress. So then you don't feel you're alone, and then you can help each other figure out how you can get back on the plan. And then number four is stay motivated. Um, and if you don't have the time or inclination to do the above, another way to achieve the same result is to make a Facebook post declaring your intentions to all your friends. And you can bet people will cheer you on and ask about your progress over the course of the year. Isn't that amazing?
that's good.
Yeah. And I'm kind of like going through there. Oh, review. Remember we talked about reflection, review your resolution regularly. So, you know, that's if you're not thinking about your resolution regularly, you're not going to follow up through, most likely. And that is the crucial part of realizing your goal is a regular review. It says here at the minimum, this review should be monthly. But the more frequent, the better. And I know I mentioned for our listeners out there that we started a heritage ukulele and hula club. And so we're gonna try to meet every week, right?
That's correct. Today.
Today we're meeting today at 4. And so and also we're planning kind of like a luau. So we'll see about how that comes along and see. Um, and then one way to build in goal review is to put it in your routine. Schedule a monthly big picture review during the first week of each month. And then this will serve as a planning meeting where you distribute smaller tasks or goals to different weeks throughout the month. And then do a weekly check-in to check your progress on the monthly goal. And then set a daily reminder for smaller resolutions. And it may seem a little crazy to think about your resolution every single day, but it is those smaller incremental steps that lead you to massive changes over the course of a single year. So anything else you wanted to share, Jean, about your New Year's resolution?
No, it's just that, like you said, sharing them with people and letting them know, like I said, so now you will remind me when we have ukulele practice, you'll say, Gene, and especially today, because I have a little treat for us today. So you're going to really beat me up. So, you know, you're going to say, you're not going the right way, you're going the wrong way. But in 52 weeks, I know I can do it, and I can do it before that. I am good at losing weight. I'm good at putting on the pounds also. By being in that program that Julie and I, my wife, were in, I know exactly what the portions I should eat should be, and I know what they should be. I mean, and some of those weight loss programs, they do work. It's just that people do not, and just like New Year's resolutions, people don't want to stick to them. I realize that if I'm going to maintain a lower weight, I cannot eat when I'm full, for one thing. I cannot have those snacks late at night that I want to have. And basically for me, I go a little hungry all the time. So by being a little hungry, I know that I am losing weight. And frankly, that's not how I want to be all the time. You know, and after you do it, like when we were in the weight loss program, after about 2 weeks, we got used to being a little hungry all the time. And that became our norm. And we realized this is how people are supposed to be. You know, since we've had technology and everything, people have refrigerators and deep freezers, and they can store food in pantries. They can store food for a long time. And man, a long time ago wasn't like that. If you were hungry, you went out and hunted and you got food. If you wanted to grow vegetables, you waited until they grew. And then you kept them, once they grew and everything, you preserved them and kept them in the cellar. But
You have to
nowadays,
work for it.
oh yes, but nowadays with all the food we have and everything else, you know, you have a pantry, you're hungry. Oh, let me go to the pantry, or let me go to the refrigerator and get some of that nice creamy ice cream or whatever. And those are, we have to have restraint with ourselves and say, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to lose this weight, and I know I'm supposed to feel a little hungry, and right now I feel a little hungry, so that's normal. Feeling full is not normal. You know, like when you, on Thanksgiving Day, when you eat so much food that you have to go and sit in a chair and you fall asleep for hours. That's, and you fall asleep, I guess you can tell all of us, but from what I've been told, is the blood that's in your system needs to go to your digestive system. And so it all leaves your head, goes down to your stomach, and you get sleepy. That's why we get sleepy. I don't know if it's true, but that could be an urban legend. I don't know.
Well, there's this chemical in turkey that that starts with a T. I forgot, trypsin or something, and that makes you sleepy. But you know, the good thing about this to our listeners out there is that if you fall off the track of your New Year's resolution, get back on it quickly. And there's this saying that Rome was not built in a day. So we've established it will take time for your resolution to become a reality. And after all, we're doing it for a year, right? And we know change is difficult. And then, in fact, we've already established we should leave some room for mistakes and setbacks. And it's going to happen. So here are some of the ideas that you can keep in mind. Skipping an intermediate task is not a complete failure. It's incomplete, but it's not a failure. And missing a goal by 10% or even 80% is not a complete failure. At least you did something, like it's a 20%, right? Or 90%. Finishing a task late is not a complete failure. You just you're lagging behind. Maybe there's, you know, some circumstances that you couldn't, you know, keep up with it, like reading the book once a month or twice a month. And if something happened and you can't do it, then one book or skip it and then the next month. Because setbacks can happen, but so long as they are handled correctly and that they will not impact the big goal. The key is to avoid defeatist attitude at all costs, like you're feeling like you're a failure, but you're not. Sometimes you would say, oh, you know, never mind, you know, it's not even worth try. So I think if there is a setback in your year's resolution, it's important to understand what led to that moment and how you can avoid a similar situation in the future. For example, if I play video games after work, I will not go to the gym. And don't play video games after work. Only once a mistake is made, own it and then move on to the next thing. For example, if you skip a study session, make it up tomorrow or keep on moving. A few small mistakes shouldn't spoil your resolution for the year. So, and also, I wanted to plug this in that according to Dr. Ed de St. Aubin, I think, he is an associate professor of psychology at Marquette University. There was a question about, are New Year's resolutions beneficial? We already know it's beneficial, but why? Of course, it is a great idea to make New Year's resolution. It is also a really bad idea. That's what he said. Why? Because so many of our resolutions are not maintained, and this may lead to various forms of self-loathing for some people. But New Year's resolutions are essentially goals, and this can also increase a person's well-being because they force us to consider what we value most and they help to structure our time. And there is this large area of scholarship known goal psychology that examines the dynamics of linking personality, behavior, and one's objectives or goals. And recent research in this area by Professor Robert M. Emmons focuses on personal strivings, various goals a person is trying to achieve in daily life. And he has found that those with predominantly power-oriented personal strivings, such as advance my career, make more money, or control my family members, have relatively lower levels of life well-being. He also discovered that folks with high levels of subjective well-being, meaning those who perceive themselves as experiencing lots of positive emotions, less personal striving centering on the sacred, like try to spend more time in prayer, remembering to be grateful for all that God has given me, and acknowledge the beauty and mystery in my relationship with others. And studies conducted by McAdams, I think, and others have shown that psychosocially healthy adults, I consider myself a psychosocially healthy adult, those with a solid balance of self-worth, who felt meaning in life, social integration, and loved by others, have personal strivings stemming from generativity. This is a desire to nurture younger people and to create a world that benefits future generations. I think that is, I guess for me personally, that's demonstrated by my desire to help those nursing students who are going to be our future professional nurses. And I like, and these goals, such as spending more time with children, reduce the racism in my community, or nurture junior colleagues. Those are some of those examples. And folks with these generative goals tend to be quite happy. And also they see themselves as living meaningful lives. And it's so true. I feel like I'm living my life with meaning when I share what I've learned. I share my skills and knowledge, so then the other person would be better as well. So our listeners out there, so when it comes to making New Year's resolutions, think a bit about what kinds of goals you are pursuing. Many may seem superficial, like um, they say that it's superficial to lose weight, but it's so hard, right? And or managing debt better, that's fine. So go ahead and work on these goals. But the thing is, allow yourself to think big as well. Thinking about, what do you value in life? What provides you with meaning? What kind of world do you want to live in? And the suggestion is you use your New Year's resolution ritual as time of both reflection. What worked well in my life this past year, and of values clarification. And our resolution should be congruent with what we most value, with those experiences that give our lives meaning. Wow, look at the time, Jean.
I
Our
know.
It went by. It's really nice talking to you on Zoom or in person. We're gonna be having our ukulele practice in about a couple of hours from now. But I wanted to thank you for allowing or agreeing to be our guest tonight.
Thank you.
Healthy Mondays, yes. So thank you. And then maybe when you start learning Mandarin, you can come to the show again and speak to our Mandarin population who's listening to us, who can speak.
谢谢你.
There you go. Time flies when we're having fun. So would you like to give words of wisdom to our listeners out there about New Year's resolution?
Um, Probably that no matter, as you spoke earlier, if you don't achieve the goal right away, just keep trying. I was in testing when I was in the military, and so if we do tests with an airplane and say you have 3 tests to do and the weather gets bad and you get low on fuel and you can't do the 3rd test, you go back and you land and then you go and do it again. So, using myself on the 5 kilos, if by November, I'm only down 4 kilos. I know I have a month to lose a kilo. And, and certain times a year, Valentine's Day, 4th of July, Thanksgiving, I might get off the wagon, but, I get back on. So any New Year's resolutions that you have, any goals that you set, just make sure that if you make some setbacks, you can always go forward, and you can get your friends involved with you, and I think that they'll be obtainable. But again, just make sure that you can obtain them. Like my New Year's goal is not to win the lottery, the 500 million that somebody won the other Saturday. It's not like that, but if I have obtainable goals, they can happen. And again, use your family and friends as support system, and just realize none of us are perfect. And if we have to, if we get 80% or 90% or 95%, that's fine. And you can still keep going until the end of the year. And if you at the end of the year you wind up with 98%, hey, 98% is still very good.
Wow, thank you, Jean. Excellent words of wisdom coming from you. So, well, again, time flies when we're having fun. That's my cue. So I hope that you start thinking about, if you haven't done it, start thinking about your New Year's resolution. And remember that even though you are kind of falling off the wagon, I must say, think about that choo-choo train. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it. Right? So again, thank you for joining us tonight here at Healthy Mondays with Up Nevada. I wanted to thank again, Jean. Thank you for being our guest. I wanted to thank PHLV Radio for allowing us to have this platform to share to our listeners out there how to keep themselves healthy. And so remember, every Monday is a Healthy Monday. Aloha.